Not look ugly. It looks beautiful. We listen and we don't judge.
Growing up in an ethnic home, you probably heard this. You only have 3 career choices. And it's, engineering, law, or medicine, right? It's obviously to, just do something with my life. But, oh, sorry, what was the question again?
Oh, Jesus, I forgot to.
My team is probably one of the best teams that I've ever been on. One of the things that I really learned during my internship that was very important or applied heavily in my career now was
Hey guys, welcome back to It's K to Be Karen, and today you have me, Karen, and today we have yet another special guest, and his name is Alexander. He is an engineer in training, and he's also a co-chair, ex-co-chair of the DBG Saskatoon chapter, and now I will let him introduce himself.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Karen. Thanks for having me here.
Of course.
So yeah, my name is Alexander Asare. As Karen said, I'm a mechanical engineer in training, and I would consider myself a cinephile actually. So I love watching movies. It's my thing.
Now I know what to ask for rapid fire.
Exactly.
You gave me a question to think of.
Perfect.
Okay, so now we're going to move to our rapid fire segment, which if you are all a supportive fan, you would know what that means. But if you are not, and if you're new here, rapid fire basically involves me asking Alexander 5 questions and he's asking me 5. Now we can do this in 2 ways. I'll ask you 5 in one go, or I ask you 1 and then you ask me 1 right after. What do you prefer?
I think let's go with the second option.
Okay, I like that. Okay, right. Like 1 after 1. Yeah. Okay, first question. I will give you context.
Okay.
How much do you think this is? But I'll give you context. This is 30% cotton. Oh, Jesus, I can't find the label, but 30% cotton bought from McNally Robinson, and it's a cashmere shawl. How much do you think this is?
I was going to guess Aritzia, but McNally Robinson, I'm guessing $60.
Right on.
Apple or iPhone? Oh, Apple or Android?
That was so funny. I was like, what are we comparing? Fruits with iPhones? I would say Android. Although iPhone, I think the camera quality is better. But I think I like too much explanation. Okay, Android. Okay. The OS is better.
All right.
Favorite movie?
The Prestige by Christopher Nolan.
I've heard of that. I haven't watched it.
You should definitely watch it.
I will watch it.
Yeah. Pineapple on pizza or no pineapple on the pizza?
If you watched any one of my episodes, you will know how much I love pineapple on pizza.
See?
I'm always a fan.
I like pineapple on pizza.
And whoever doesn't, we cannot be friends.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah. Favorite dessert? Third question.
Tiramisu cake, yeah.
Friends. We are best friends.
Yes. We got good taste.
Yeah, we got good taste. Yes. Tiramisu.
Hey, exactly.
We're on this.
Yeah.
We're on this together.
Do you like to travel by car or by plane?
Where are we going?
Let's just say you're going 6 hours away from home.
Oh, of course, plane.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a plane person.
Not down for a car ride and some podcast and music and.
No, because when you don't know how to drive, you take the plane. You don't take risks with people's lives.
So we're learning something about you.
Yes, you are. Okay, 4th question. If you didn't study engineering, what would you have studied instead? It's engineering and mathematics, what would you have studied instead?
I would have gone into film.
Ah, you look like a film person to me. Would you be a director? Okay, it's got
to be an actor. That's where the action is.
I like that.
And I think it's fun to be an actor too.
I think you'll be pretty slay. You'll be a celebrity. That's why we caught you early on. Because if you shifted your career, I caught you early on.
I thought I was going to be a Vine star way back in 2014, but here I am now.
Life changes.
I know, right?
You're funny. Crazy. Okay, 4th question.
Cats or dogs? I feel like my questions are so simple.
No, they're good questions. I think I'm a dog with flappy ears. Puppy with flappy ears.
Okay.
Favorite season?
Fall.
Oh, you're like me. I like fall too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Autumn is just it.
Yeah. Because then spring is too too dampy, and I
Exactly.
don't like that.
And your car gets, dirty easily and all those sort of things,
Yeah,
right?
true.
So
Agree.
yeah, yeah. I gotta find a good
Last
one.
question.
Okay, so
Okay.
vacation on the beach or vacation as a tourist?
Vacation on the beach or vacation as a tourist?
Yeah. Or like
Like, help
I'm
me.
trying. I'm trying to. What would?
I could still be on the beach as a tourist.
Right. That's true. Like vacation at a beach or vacation not at the beach.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Vacation not at the beach. I'm a mountain person. I
Mm,
think I like mountains. I like sightseeing more
right.
rather than being on the beach.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's me.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay, now that we've done a rapid fire, we're going to dive into our fancy discussions that we've all been awaiting for. So I know you've done engineering and mathematics, so maybe I should ask, maybe we'll start with mathematics. Like, how did that become a part of your academic journey? How did you know that mathematics was your calling?
I have a very simple answer for that, honestly. So I'm sure, like growing up in an ethnic home, you've probably heard this. You only have three career choices, and it's engineering, law, or medicine, right?
Medicine, yeah.
And I came into university actually going into medicine, and then
Medicine?
yeah,
Jesus.
I know, right? Because
Okay.
my parents are like, if you want your education paid for,
Yeah.
that's the choice for you,
At least they were paying for it. For
right?
medicine, I think that's quite good.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and then 2 years into fifth form, if you want to say, I realized this is not for me. But then I've always liked math, so it was easy to pivot into math. But that conversation with my parents was not easy. It was a difficult one. But
But you
over a
did
decade
it.
later, I'm here. So
That's
yes,
fair. So
yeah,
then, like, after your mathematics degree, how did you get into mechanical engineering?
right. And that's where things get very interesting. So after mathematics, I realized that I actually wanted to do something a bit more, apply mathematics to, and I've always been interested in robotics. So it just made sense to go
Pivot
into,
into
mechanical engineering. But yeah, no, it was such an easy transition to make as well, because there's a lot of things that translate or just shift over into mechanical engineering, right? The mathematics aspect of it is, I think it's the language spoken in engineering, right?
Oh, I like that. I like the way you phrased that. Yeah. What do you think motivated you to do 2 degrees? Because, like, if you think about it, if you told someone, hey, I've done math and engineering, and not
Right.
even like any engineering, it's like mechanical engineering, it's like, whoa, you're smart.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. So I guess the motivation is obviously to, just do something with my life, but right, just do something with my life. But I've always
That's
been.
fair.
So I would say this: have you? I'm sure you've seen Terminator, right? The second one, the Judgment Day.
I totally did.
You did. You've
Totally.
done right. Okay,
Yeah.
so I guess we're gonna go with that.
Okay.
So my love for engineering and actually AI started from that movie. I remember watching that movie when I was young, and I've always been interested in like anything that has to do with machines and things that you need to build with your hands and things that are complicated.
Yeah.
And it just made sense to transition from like mathematics into engineering. But the motivation for both of them was, I've always liked mathematics. It was easy for me to understand mathematics, and then engineering just sort of made sense right after. So
That's fair.
yeah.
When you were growing older, like, did you see any signs of yourself kind of like showcasing that you were into more technical side of things rather than humanities?
Well, I mean, I do like reading books, but I think growing up, one of the things that my parents really focused on, and I'm sure you know this, like you gotta focus on school,
yeah.
you gotta focus on school, and I think my mathematics was just easy to pick up. So, and then one of the things that was easy for me to also do was, although like when you're young, it's easy to go out and play with friends, but it's also it was easier for me to stay at home and also just sort of like solve mathematical equations and just sort of like do a bit of like playing around with my hands and like fixing things and trying to like figure things out. So I think in that sense, it made sense for me to go into this space that I'm currently in. And then yeah, it just kind of made sense. I guess that's the way to put it. So
Makes sense.
yeah.
Also, because you've done like math and then engineering, right? So I
Yeah.
assume you did 4 years of math and
I
then
did 4 years of math and then 4 years of engineering with a year
Jesus.
with 60 months of internship. So
So
9 years in total in school.
did you ever like find it hard to come back to school for mechanical engineering then?
So the funny thing about my transition from mathematics to engineering was my final year of mathematics. I split that into two. So I started the first term of mathematics of my okay. So my final year of mathematics, I started the first term in engineering, and then
Jesus.
the second term was mathematics. So then
Yes.
the year after that, the first term was mathematics, and then the
Okay.
second term was engineering. I know it sounds very weird or very complicated,
Yeah.
and
Interesting.
yeah, so it just made sense because I got into engineering when I applied to get into engineering. I got into engineering that final year of my mathematics degree,
Mathematics.
so that I figured I might as well just start off first term and see
Wow.
what it's like. Do I really enjoy it? Do I really like it?
Mm.
And then I figured I like it. So
But 9 years though.
9 years is
You
such
liked
a
it? Like you enjoyed being at school for 9 years? Like would you have done different? Would you like do it differently now if you went back?
yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no, because I think there's a lot of growth that came with being in
Mm.
school for so long.
Mm.
It was easy to transition into the workspace, but also there was so much that I learned about myself and
Mm.
figured out before becoming a professional, if you want to say.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think sometimes, sitting down with yourself, I think it's very underrated.
right,
I think if you actually sit down with yourself,
very
talk to
important.
yourself,
Hmm.
and really see if that's what you're interested in. And not only that, like literally talking to people,
Hmm.
I think that really helps because I think those two things, like being with yourself, talking to people,
Hmm.
and really like reflecting on yourself, because sometimes even if you talk to people, that advice might not be useful for you,
Exactly.
right?
Right. Yeah.
So really talking to people and maybe just seeing what works for you and what
Right.
works for them,
Hmm.
right? Because we all have, I think, different circumstances, different situations of how we landed the interest that we have.
Hmm.
So I think combining the two really helps.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think
I
so too.
totally agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're a mechanical EIT.
Hmm.
What do you think drew you to this role?
Yeah, so it just kind of made sense to become a mechanical EIT right out of school. After
Mm.
9 years of school, it's just like it was just so easy to get out there and start working. But then I guess my career kind of started, and it's mechanical EIT, which is engineering training, is sort of like the next step after you're done, university
Engineering.
engineering
Yeah.
schooling, right? And you apply to become an engineer in training, and then you obviously get a job, and then your career kind of starts. So
Yeah.
with my current role as a mechanical EIT, focusing more in the oil and gas and mining spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, when I initially joined my company, I joined my company through the buildings group. That was something I did not enjoy at all. I'm sure
Oh.
HVAC is important,
Yeah.
but not that important for me. So I had to find something else. And luckily, 6 months within the company, this opportunity came up. I interviewed for it, and yeah,
And here you are.
here I am 3 years
Nice.
later, and I'm getting to do some of the most interesting things and be involved in some of the most interesting projects. So
Love
yeah,
that. I'm so happy for you.
yeah.
Um, one thing you've mentioned, like as an engineer, your natural next pathway is being an EIT, right?
Hmm.
Um, I assume that a lot of people, when they're done engineering, they'll go into their EIT position. But do you feel that with the combination of your engineering and mathematics,
Hmm.
that's helped you much more than other people who've only done engineering to solve more difficult kind of real world problems? Like, do you think your mathematical degree or that sense of knowledge has helped you further than what you would have done without the mathematical degree?
Hmm. I would say yes and no. I guess if you're only focused on mechanical engineering, then I would say no. But then if you're talking about just the whole
Overall,
profession
yeah.
in general, or
Mm-hmm.
like being a professional in general, I would say yes.
Yes.
So mathematics, it's very interesting because mathematics also focuses on like number theory, being able
Mm-hmm.
to be logical. And a lot of people think mathematics is just figuring out what 1 + 1 = 2 is, but that's not the case. It's more
Yeah.
about proving why one
Mm-hmm.
plus one equals two. So the the lessons that you learn from
Mm-hmm.
that and applying that to engineering sort of helped
Mm.
with me, or helped me when I sort of started my career.
Mhm.
And I guess kind of going back into mechanical engineering here,
Mhm.
a lot of the things that I'm doing, the theoretical things or things that we've obviously learned in school. The mathematics side of it just kind of helps with, okay, I'm able to maybe do integrals. I can still do some integrals. I can still do a bit of mathematics. I can, solve problems a little quicker. But yeah, I would say yes and no, but I guess it also sort of depends on the individual. Yeah.
That's fair. If you wanted to maybe tell the audience, what is your day-to-day kind of role looks like as a mechanical EIT?
Oh man, that's a good one. So it usually depends on the project that I'm working on.
Oh yeah, because you do different projects.
Different projects. So I think the last time I saw you, I think I was talking about a water or a hydropower project, a hydropower project that I was working on. So we recently submitted everything to the client. So it involved a lot of calculations, a lot of data sheets, a lot of report writing, and my day to day usually depends on what needs to be done exactly. So I'm sure with Microsoft Teams, I usually have my first 2 hours set up to focus in. So what I do is I use a lot of the Microsoft To Do app. Have you ever tried it? Yeah. So I use that quite a lot, and usually go in and I add the tasks that I need to add for. Okay, so this is priority. This needs to be done today.
Yeah.
So I go through, I don't obviously spend the entire 2 hours trying to like do all of that.
Yeah.
But sometimes I spend up to 2 hours if I have a lot to do.
You just keep it for yourself,
Exactly, right? It's sort of like a planner.
Yeah.
And then I, figure out, okay, well, this is what I need to get done. And then if there's a bunch of calculations I need to do for the day, that's exactly what's happening. There are some days that I'm involved in meetings all day. And I guess with the recent submission of that project, the last 2 weeks was basically focused on writing the report. And I'm sure you know how it feels like to write reports. Oh, doing the technical, like trying to figure out, okay, well, I need to size up this heat exchanger. All right, go and figure it out. I enjoy doing those things. But and then there are parts of my day that I have to also reach out to vendors and get some quotes and some equipment data and all that type of information. And sometimes you're on these calls for like an hour because some vendors are very hard to
do you not have a procurement team to like get stuff?
We do that, but then sometimes when you're the one designing the equipment, it's better for you to do it yourself. Do it yourself. And then and I guess for this hydropower project, we didn't really have a procurement team for this project, so we had to do everything. You size it up, you design it, you size it up, and then you reach out to vendors to get so for pump, you're getting like the pump data, the pump information, all this stuff. But yeah, so that's the one thing I like about my career or my job, because my days are not the same every single day. It changes, and I like that variety.
What do you think are the rewards and challenges of the work that you do? Very recently, I had a guest on this podcast, and he mentioned a very interesting answer, and he said people. He said people can be both a benefit, but also not a benefit. They can be the best part of your job, but they can also be the challenging part of your job. From your perspective, do you think the same way, or do you think there's some other kind of best parts and challenging part of your job?
I would say I agree. I 100% agree with that answer, but I also would say the project plays a huge role. So in terms of the people, my team is probably one of the best teams that I've ever been on, and I've been fortunate to be on. When I worked at Nutrient during my internship, my supervisor at the time was great. He made things easier for me to to do, and it was easy to collaborate with like other people and my colleagues, and I think that made my internship great. So and then with my current job, the people, and I don't get to actually see my colleagues at all because they're all over the place. They're they're in Calgary, they're in Edmonton, sort of like in the States.
So you got the sunlight.
True.
Remember?
But the sunlight is like afternoon though, right? It's usually not.
It's coming.
It's coming, right?
Get
So
in there.
so yeah, it's like the people actually do make the day
Mm.
or make my career easily.
Mm.
And then I'll say the projects too, because there's certain projects that and I guess when you're a junior engineer, sometimes you get put on the project that you don't like and you have no choice. I mean, you can talk to your supervisor and get taken off it, but
It's better not to.
right. It's well, I mean, you also want to, some people want to do the whole thing of, I can definitely take this on and conquer it. There are certain projects that clients are hard to deal with. Things just don't make sense, right?
Yeah,
and some of the things that a client wants is unachievable, or the design constraints are some things that we don't think make sense, and we can or we should change, but the client obviously is not willing to do so, and that makes things hard to deal with. So
whenever you get a project though, do you like, for example, if it was like a mining company that came with a project, for example, would you actually have to go on site to like visually see things, or do they just give you a problem and you're like, okay, well, from experience we know it could be done in this way, and then you're going to experiment some ways, and then you're going to create up reports and provide suggestions?
So the good thing about my role is I'm not client facing in that sense.
Oh, okay, nice.
So I never get the chance to win the project or get involved in that part of it. But there are opportunities for junior engineers or some people to go on site. But that's if the client is open to that, or if the project demands that.
Okay,
so
makes sense.
But within my company, we do have it's kind of broken down into 3 groups, or within my business line, I will put it that way. So there is the win, there's the win group, there's the do group, and there's the manage group. I'm part of the do group.
Oh, so cool.
Right.
Sounds so cool.
But yeah, I mean, you get to do all the hard work, right?
Yeah.
So, and then the win group focuses on winning the project, and they're able to, I guess, based on our level of expertise, they're able to determine that this project is fitting for us, and maybe this project might need
Jesus, that's
certain
a lot of pressure on them.
Right.
Like win group is a lot of pressure, I feel.
Right.
Well, do group also has its own pressure, but by then you've already got the project.
Right. Right.
Wow.
And we all kind of work simultaneously to deliver the project to the client, right? And the manage group also plays a huge role, right? So that's where the project management side of things come into place. There are much more client facing once we've won the project, and just doing that daily interactions with the client. So
because you've done an internship,
yeah.
Do you feel like the duties and responsibilities you had at the internship has significantly helped you in the job that you're currently doing?
Yes, absolutely. So when you've never had a professional job before, like, I mean, you've had summer jobs. It's not very professional, but when you're in the professional space, and there are certain habits that you get to pick up. Being able to communicate efficiently. And one of the things that I really learned during my internship that was very important to or applied heavily in my career now, was being able to communicate technical information efficiently. I have designed this. This was the process that I took to get to the solution, and this is what the solution is going to get us. Being able to communicate that, and I mean, there's some engineers we tend to want to get the work done and then hide behind, behind our work and just send it off, and maybe my manager just figure it out, right? And I think it helps progress your career too, being able to communicate your work. So that was one of the things that I learned. And it's not just about communicating your work, it's communicating your work, or being articulate and communicating it efficiently.
Right.
So that was one of the things that I learned, and it helped with my capstone project as well, because my capstone was with the exact same company.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And it was we had already built that relationship, so it made it easy to be able to do my capstone and stuff.
Yeah, so slay. We're gonna go a little bit into your DPG Saskatoon chapter.
Yes.
Maybe do you want to tell the audience what that involves and what that entails?
Yeah.
And then I'll ask you how you actually got into that leadership role.
Yes, so DPG, which stands for Developing Professionals Group, and it's actually only it's a chapter-based network involved in my company, and pretty much every office has a chapter. I want to say pretty much every office. I'm not sure. There might be some offices in Northwest Territories that might not have a chapter, but pretty much every office does have a chapter. And so when I joined my company initially, I was looking for a community of EITs or engineers in training, and to sort of hang out and do things.
Yeah, I like
And
that.
uh, I was able to find a few colleagues of mine, and we kind of hung out and did things. But then I also found out about DPG. One of the senior engineers told me about it. Said this is something that exists within our company. Our office does have something like that, but we haven't really done anything with it. So he connected me with the lead at that time, and she brought up that whole idea of, do you want to lead this together? And what it usually focuses on is, it's got these 4 pillars. It focuses on peers, community, leadership, and professional development. So what the DPG group is all about is helping people who are really young in their career to grow their career, essentially, right? So it connects you. It could connect you with connect you to the right projects, the right leaders. If your path is to go into the C-suite someday, it connects you to the right individuals to do so. If you're looking for a specific project, it does help with those with those connections. Another thing I also liked about it was, you could have like professional dates, which is you could be in Saskatoon and be linked up with someone in a different country, like maybe the United Kingdom, or
different country, not different province.
You could do province, you could do different country, get to learn a little bit about them. So it's really good. I know some people who've used the DPG to transfer to like different countries within the company. So
nice.
It's really good. And leading this group did teach me a lot. And we got to host a lot of events. So one of the events that we hosted, and actually one of my favorite events, we hosted a cooking and baking class.
Oh, nice.
And then we donated the food to the Ronald McDonald House. So it was we have a sous chef in-house within our office here. So
really? You did not tell me that.
We
so
do.
He makes stuff for you guys?
Well, he doesn't, but like we sort of contracted him to teach a class.
Oh, how sweet.
I can't remember the food that we cooked, but
that's so slay though. I've never heard that.
We hosted this one event where occasionally we have C-suite individuals coming to our office. So this is the chance for people to talk to them. So we book an hour or 2 of their time, and we set up like a whole pizza meeting, and then people get to ask them questions, or they get to talk a little bit about their journey into their current roles, and sort of the challenges that they encountered along that path. And so it's a very interesting, and I'm no longer the DPG co-leading or leading my office. I stepped down after 2 years. I thought it was
still, that's something. 2 years. That's the way to go.
And the current lead, or the current leads they're doing a great job. So they're going to be hosting another cooking and baking class coming up in April here, in a week.
Is the DPG would you say DPG is equivalent to a mentorship kind of program, or do you think they're completely different?
In some sense, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that comes with it is it differs by the office that you're in, right? So if you're definitely looking for mentors, that's something that DPG can set up, right? So it doesn't primarily focus on like a whole mentorship program, because it's got these 4 pillars that you need that we're trying to meet. But a mentorship program is something that's sort of associated with it, and you could always take advantage of.
Speaking of mentorship program, do you feel like it's helpful for individuals, not only engineers, but like anybody who's willing to become a professional, to have mentors in their career?
Yes.
Do you have mentors? Or
I did not have any mentors while I was in school, but then when I started my career, that was one of the first things that I made a decision on, and it's helped me significantly. And kind of speaking from my recent experience, so when I graduated, I got into buildings, and then switched out of that into oil and gas and mining. one of the first things that I did when I joined the new group was get a
Mm-hmm.
mentor.
Nice.
And he basically set up the path for me. He kind of introduced me to things that I was not aware of, some company things that you might just not be aware of, certain things. And, okay, maybe you want to design something. How do you approach it? You might lead me on the right path to like, okay, well, this is what you got to do, or these are the codes and standards that you should possibly take a look at. These are the textbooks or the information that you need to be able to figure things out. Um, and also as an EIT, one of the things that as a mechanical engineer, one of the things that you want to do is possibly get your PNG, right? So
Yes.
what's I'm getting close to it. Yeah. So I've written the exam and in the process of finishing up my report. So, the mentor helps with that in terms of, okay, these are the tips and these are the things that you should do. Focus your time and energy here, focus your time and energy doing this. So yeah, I would highly recommend getting a mentor. It's helped significantly.
I think I agree. So having a mentor that has more seniority and more experience than you, so then, because they've gone through certain experiences and they can look back and tell you what's the right path. And I think that's very useful, whether that be in your academic journey or in your professional career. I think it's very useful. Sometimes you think this is what you want to do to get to the place you want to,
Right.
but actually having somebody who's there and guide you, I think, is helpful. But that being said, I also think everyone has their own journeys.
Exactly.
Right? So the advices that you get, again, may not necessarily help you or may not help you to achieve what you want to achieve, but you can take that as a second opinion to guide your decisions, which I think is very useful.
Yeah, I like the way you put that, actually. Yeah.
Because you went from being a full-time student to a full-time professional. How did that transition kind of feel like for you?
I was just ready to start working.
Oh, because you were like 9 years of school and you're like, I'm out of here.
I'm out of here. But the one thing about school is that it sort of teaches you how to like
live.
But yeah, how to study, how to learn things, but then work is completely different, right? So the work you tend to figure out what to prioritize. So the transition was just a little easy for me initially because I was ready to work, but also I think having that knowledge of, okay, well, I know how to learn, I know how to figure things out, right? So then applying that to work was just easy and yeah, just sort of move forward with that. So
what do you think are important mindsets for people to have if they wanted to have a long-term career?
I would say consistency. So consistency would be one. And then I'm going to go back to one of the things that I talked about, communication, in terms of being able to communicate your ideas effectively. And then I would also say, ownership. Ownership is a big one. So being able to take responsibility of your task, responsibility of your work, owning your, I did this wrong. I'm gonna take this on. I did this wrong. And then apologize and then go back and redo it and then resubmit it. It actually does paint you as
I've never heard someone say that before.
Right.
It's a really good one.
And,
I didn't think about it.
And it happens all the time, right? A lot of people tend to quickly shift the blame and blame it on something else or blame it on someone else. But being able to
like owe
up to it, it definitely, makes you look like a standout person, and so definitely consistency. I would say consistency obviously beats like intensity, like the occasional outburst, output, I have like 2 days to get this done, so I'm just gonna be intense about it. But if you're consistent from the get-go, it makes things a lot easier.
You wouldn't have to get that far to be intense.
Right.
Makes sense.
So I would say a combination of those three would be
It's a really good answer.
Would be good for long-term success.
If you ever had to convince, let's say if a student was uncertain if they wanted to go into engineering or something else, and if you ever had to convince a student, what would you have What would you say to the students if they were unsure if they should go into engineering?
Don't do it. No, I'm just
Don't
kidding.
do it.
No, no,
You know,
no.
every engineer
No.
that comes here says that.
Really?
Yes, so far.
Well, okay. That was obviously a joke, but
Mhm.
I would say do it.
Do it.
I would say do it.
Why?
I think there's skills. I would say there's skill sets that I've learned,
Mhm.
and maybe that's just me being too analytical about things.
Mhm.
I look at the world from a different point of view,
Different
right?
lens.
A different lens.
Mhm.
And maybe that's just me nerding out, but whenever I'm walking around and like just seeing things, I'm able to look at it and be like, okay, I sort of understand how this came about. I
Mhm.
understand how basic things kind of work in my house. I understand
Mhm.
how a microwave works, how an oven works.
Mhm.
And that's, I mean, that's something completely different. But one thing I would say to students who are thinking about going into engineering is you sort of got to know yourself, right? Do a little bit of research, figure out, okay, first of all, you got to figure out, is this something that you are interested in doing, right? Because engineering is schooling plus the career is very long, right? One of the things about engineering, and I'm sure a lot of engineers can attest to this, you have those weeks, and I'm sure other students also can attest to this, but you have those weeks where it's hell. There's just so much going on. You have midterms, you have assignments, you have like lab reports, a whole bunch of things going on at the exact same time. And those weeks are the weeks that you're just like, I wish I never did this, right? So doing that research and figuring out, okay, is this something that I can actually handle? Also knowing yourself and understanding the things that you're sort of interested in, right? So am I interested in mechanical? I might be interested in electrical. Is environmental engineering something that speaks more to me, or maybe civil engineering? And then kind of figuring out your interest would help. But I'll say doing that research plays a huge role.
If you had to give one advice to the younger generation using our platform of the podcast, what would you tell them?
I've talked a little bit more about engineering, so I hate giving advice, but I would. So this is my mantra. This is something I live by. Carpe diem, which is seize the day, live by the moment.
Yes.
I think, I mean, you see it on social media, you see it in life. A lot of people are too focused on the past, the future. People are so worried about how life is going to turn out or what people think of them and things like that. And I understand, like, some people are going through tough times and, all these, tough times, and it's hard to deal with it. But one thing I would tell people, or I would say to people, is just, seize the day, live in the moment. And the moment is going to pass at some point.
I was going to say, usually whenever a guest comes to the podcast, I kind of think of them as an open book.
Okay.
And I ask them a lot of questions. And there's certain people, they just don't like every page to kind of be touched, right? Like certain things they like to refrain to themselves.
Right.
But I think you've been such a good guest. I'm very grateful that you came today, and that means a lot.
Thank you.
And because of that, we're going to give you a gift card. You can pretend like you didn't know about this. This is from Delish by Tish.
Damn. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
And they do cheesecakes.
Yes.
And every day they have like 3 different sets of soups.
So a lot of bakery stuff too then, or
they have
okay.
Bakery, they have
okay,
cheesecakes,
that's perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and they also have like sandwiches. They've got great coffee.
Nice.
And because of the spring season, they have like special menu for drinks.
Yeah.
The owner's Tisha. She makes great soups and she works very hard. So please go visit them. And they're our sponsors.
Yes, go visit them, guys.
Go visit them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
With that being said, I'm going to say, again, thank you so much, Alexander, for making time to be a part of this podcast.
Yeah.
And do you have any last words?
Time to go pick up pizza with pineapple toppings.
Yes! Pizza with pineapple toppings. We love that.
Yes.
Okay, with that being said, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can leave it at the bottom of the video, and me and Alexander will help to co-reply. And with that, we're going to say bye!